Hey guys, another edition of Quarantine with Coaches. Today I got a friend of mine, new corners coach, new special teams coordinator at South Dakota State, Rob Erickson. How you doing, Rob?
Doing great, Tim. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, obviously excited to have you. Miss seeing you around Whitewater, but happy that you've landed where you've landed.
Thank you. Yeah, it's miss seeing a lot of faces. I think we're all in this quarantine era right now where, this is how we're all communicating through video chat and virtual world. So it's I miss all you guys, miss everybody that's out there in the coaching world, and we'll get through this.
Yeah. What's been the biggest difference between, Division III and Division I? I know you've only been there for a short time, but what's the biggest difference, you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the biggest thing I'm learning right now is all the compliance rules with recruiting and how recruiting is playing out at the Division I level. At Division III, there really is no dead periods. There really is no restrictions on how much you can communicate or talk to a kid or go visit a kid or even reach out to them. Where now, you got so many times where you can reach out to them. You got to log every time you communicate through your compliance office, and trying to learn how all that works. I know people who have been at the Division I level, that's just kind of second nature to them. But for me, that's been kind of the biggest, I wouldn't say obstacle, but the biggest challenge of learning. Do I log this? Do I not have to log this? If they call in, compared to me calling out, what are the dead periods? And even now, it's kind of gray for a lot of people. Is this considered a dead period? What is the next dead period? So just trying to get through that piece of it has been a pretty big challenge for me. Obviously, one I'm really excited about, but at the same time, it's a challenge just because I didn't really know all the little rules going in beforehand, and just trying to stay day to day with it and making sure I'm being compliant and making sure the kids that we want to actively recruit are being actively recruited in the right way, but also with a lot of interest and just doing it the right way and just kind of learning the recruiting model.
Gotcha. And you took this job maybe one of the worst times ever to take a job, right? I mean, you get hired and then within a week, everyone's sent home, right? And one of the challenges I imagine you're facing right now is getting to know your players, the guys that you're going to be coaching in the fall. How have you begun to build relationships with your players?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so funny backstory. So my wife, Kelly, and I, so we take the job. We're planning on, all right, let's start looking at houses in Brookings. Let's start looking at what we're going to do when we move out there. What's the future going to look like? So I'm all in because I'm going to start on a Monday, 9th of March, and I took everything out of my closet, took a spare bedroom out of the spare bedroom, put it all in the vehicle, drove it to Brookings. Spencer Erickson had a spare room in his apartment, so I loaded that room up on a Sunday night, and I was there for a long haul because, like I said, spring ball was going to start. Probably wasn't going to get back to Wisconsin to see the family for quite a while, and worked Monday through Friday. And all of a sudden, Coach Stig goes, I think we're going to kind of kick back meetings a little bit. There's a little bit of everything was just kind of starting. We'll come back on Monday. We'll have our staff meeting, or on Wednesday. We'll have our staff meeting Wednesday. So I go home, and Wednesday turns into Friday, turns into a week, turns into what we're all living through right now. So my entire wardrobe, minus a few laundry items I brought from wearing that week, is still in Brookings. A spare bed is in Brookings. So Spencer Erickson's got imaginary guy living in his spare bedroom that he never sees, with totes and baskets full of goodies for him that he probably doesn't use too often. So that's kind of how it all started. And but going back to your question about relationship building, it's really just been trying to get in front of the guys in meetings like this with Zoom and different media outlets, just to kind of get in front of them and talk to them and really try to get to know what makes them tick and build a relationship. And it's a challenge this way. It's a lot easier. You can sit in a room, have a cup of coffee, and kind of just let questions flow pretty easily and read people's mannerisms better and really kind of dive in, where there is a little bit of a barrier. Even though you do see face-to-face, there's a little bit of barrier when you got a screen. So it's taken a little bit longer, but the guys are incredible. They're easy to talk to. You want someone involved in their life, and I'm excited to be part of that. We have a lot of love in our room, and the guys just really want to be coached hard. And I just believe what they're looking for in the corner room is what I'll fit to a T. And we're getting to that point where we feel very comfortable together, and now we can start maybe broadening our topics a little bit more and diving more into big picture things, because we do have a really good relationship. We have a really good grip on what their academic situation is like. But it has taken a lot of time, and it's almost been a month, and I'm still kind of in that trying to figure out how to communicate with the guys on a better basis.
Yeah, and another challenge I'm sure you're facing, right, is the special teams coordinator role, right? You same situation, right? You're basically on campus for a week. You're walking into a new program. You're the special teams coordinator now. Can you talk a little bit about how you've sort of navigated through that?
Yeah, so when I got on campus for those 5 days, Coach Stig and I sat down and we developed a plan that we were going to install during spring ball, what units were going to get prioritized first, and how many minutes of practice, and all those things. So we put our schedule together, put a lot of detail into it. Then obviously we weren't able to have any spring ball, so it didn't work out that way. So now we're at the point of what I'm doing with the cornerbacks room is what I'm doing with all the specialists. I'm sitting down and trying to meet with them and video chat with them and really get a chance to know who they are and what makes them tick. And I've learned talking with those guys that they're masters of their craft like everybody, but they've kind of went through camps growing up and different coaches, and they kind of know what they want to do. And so it's me just trying to figure out what their style is, how much information I can provide, and all those things. And then trying to, at some point, if allowed, to try to do some type of group chat with, maybe the special teams unit of kickoff or what have you, and trying to do some installs, trying to see if that's going to be legal or when we can start doing that kind of stuff. So we're kind of on hold right now with that. So that's put us behind a little bit because of me being new. The program's already got structures in place, but it's been a challenge, and we're working through that. But the special teams role is interesting to me. I've never been a special teams coordinator before. I've been defensive coordinator for many years, but special teams has been something I've been fully involved in. I feel great about the opportunity to do it, but it's really working with the specialists and making sure that I can give them the detail that they need, and not being out there on a daily basis, working with them, seeing what their technique is in a really close-knit area is a challenge.
And one thing you and I have talked about is career building, right? And you just mentioned it, right? You've been a long time Division III coordinator, and here you are now as a D1 special teams coordinator and position coach. Can you just touch on some of the things you feel like have helped you along the way to get from a D3 spot to a Division I spot?
Yeah, great question. I think, I've been very blessed that early in my coaching career as a graduate assistant at UW-Stevens Point, a great friend of mine that we were able to just build a bond of, like a brotherhood bond was with Tim Polisek. And Tim Polisek's been a guy that has been very eager in the coaching profession and worked his tail off and has climbed through his ranks from Division III to FCS level, now the O-line coach at Iowa. And Tim has always been really good to me. He's always been a guy that has opened up camps whenever he's been working to, hey, come work at camp, come hang out for the weekend, and we'll stay at my place and you'll meet other coaches. And through that network, I've met a ton of coaches that are connected to him and been able to have small conversations with a lot of different people. And along the way, I've gotten to know Jake Dickert, who's now the defensive coordinator at Washington State. And an interaction, oddly enough, about 10 years ago, I ran into Coach Dickert and actually interviewed for a job at a place he was at. And along that process, I met Brian Bergstrom. And Brian now is defensive coordinator at South Dakota State. And we've just, through that connection of Tim and Dickert, I got to meet Brian. And Brian and I have just had good conversations over the years. And then when this job opened up here, I was one of the guys that he reached out to, seeing if I'd be interested. And I was. And one thing led to another. And, here I am. And if it wouldn't have been for my connections with Tim and Jake, I never would have met Brian. And blessed that I am. Brian's a tremendous football coach and even a better human. And great things are happening here because of him and the staff. And I just know that in order to kind of get to where some of us want to get to, you need the help of others. And I've been blessed that I've got great people trying to help me out along the way. And I hope that through my coaching experience, I've been doing it for about 20 years, that there's people that have been affected with me in my life that I can help them if that opportunity ever presents for someone else.
And let's talk about you sort of just talked about your tree, right? You helping younger guys. What's some advice that you would give to young coaches who are trying to build a career in this game similar to the career you've built?
Yeah, I'd say number one is first, do you really want to do this? You've got to be all in. There's a lot of young kids who just got done playing. Football's been in their blood. They've been doing it for 8, 10, maybe 12 years. And that's all they know. And they think they want to do it, but they really don't know. First, do you really want to do it? Because it is a different life than what most people live. It is long hours, little pay. We think of the world a little differently than most people. We're wired differently. And if it's for you, if you really know this is what you want to do, then early on, be eager. Go out to camps, go out and see as many people as you can. Rub shoulders with some of the best coaches in the industry and kind of see what they're doing drill-wise, but how they evaluate talent, to how they communicate with people, observe. You have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen, hear what they're saying before you speak. But when they do call on you or they give you an opportunity to speak up, be confident and go out there and present yourself in a positive light. But the biggest thing I would say is just expose yourself to as much as you can, many different cultures as you can. Start building your opinions and things on how things should be done. And then just work hard and be honest and be truthful and be who you are, and treat people the right way. And if you do that, somewhere you're going to get your start. Somewhere you're going to get an entry-level position or maybe a full-time position that's going to allow you to get your foot in the door. And then you just continue to grow. Or if you can actually make money doing this job and pay your bills, you're in it. And if you're in it, then you just got to grow. Then you got to learn and you got to continue to push. But always take opportunities to go to camps. Always try to learn and grow and not get stagnant and get complacent. Because when that happens, then you stop looking at different career opportunities. You stop staying up with the times, the schemes, because the game's always changing. So first, long-winded answer, but first, love it. Know you want to do it. Don't be on the fence. If you know you want to do it, do it. And then from there, be aggressive early on, because at some point you're probably going to get a wife, you're probably going to have kids, and things then start prioritizing. So before you have a ton of different responsibilities, go out there and meet as many people as you can and try to push your career along as fast as you can.
Hey, before I let you go, we're going to do a little rapid-fire questions. You go with that?
I'll try.
Okay. And what's the best book you've read?
I still go back to The Slight Edge. To me, it was one of my first books about attitude changing and about building your own life. And it was a book that, it was one of my first books. I've read many, but it's the one that's time I got going on this whole train of attitude training.
What's been your go-to quarantine meal?
Oh, we're grilling out a ton right now. Cheeseburgers. We have a bunch of hamburgers, meat in the freezer that we never really got to, so cheeseburgers.
This is something I know about you. You're notoriously late on, I guess, the newest TV series, but I'm going to ask this anyway. What series have you been watching during quarantine?
It's going to make me sound soft and sappy, but the wife and I started a series about 2 years ago called This Is Us, and we're now finishing seasons 3 and 4, and we've got about 3 to go. So getting some quality time with the lady.
A lot of tears out of you?
What's that?
Has there been a lot of tears out of you?
There's been sappy moments, yes, but every episode ends with her in tears.
It's a great show. I'm not afraid to admit it. It's the best show on television. It's well written, well paced, great character development. I'm done talking about it, but this came from Coach Nick Peshek at UW-Stout. I didn't know this about you. He informed me this morning about this. You are well known around these parts as one of the best noon ball players maybe to ever grace this campus. Who would you say your game most emulates?
The last 4 years of Michael Jordan. Fadeaway jumpers from 10 to 15 feet, an occasional three-pointer, if you're going to play off, because I've lost that step where I can't take you off the dribble. But if you're going to threaten me and get in my face, I'll take you off the dribble and pop up from about 10. But I would say the older years of Michael Jordan.
Follow-up question. Now this one's from me. Who's the better athlete between you and Kelly, your wife?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. It's definitely her. No question. I pray every day. Well, I prayed. I don't do it anymore, but I prayed every day for about 5 years that my kids got her genetics.
Well, for your kids' sake, I hope that happens as well.
If they didn't get her athletic ability, hopefully at least they get their looks.
There we go. Hey, Coach Rob Erickson, thanks for coming in Quarantine with Coaches.
All right, thanks, Tim.